Changing directions a little bit, certainly with technology and such, particularly in the industry segments that Penske is in. What trends is Penske looking at today? Which ones do you believe are going to mostly impact your business? 5 years from now, 10 years from now. What are you looking at? What are you looking at?
Well, hopefully I'm looking at the future, right here, right out in front of me, Don. But I mean, the key trends are people. People's a big trend right now. There just aren't enough people to fill all the jobs that businesses have available. So focusing on being that employer of choice, having business practices and programs and pay and everything that goes with it, that people want to not just come to work for Penske, but to stay. It doesn't do you much good to hire like crazy if people don't stay. And so that's been a major preoccupation in terms of navigating that trend. I would say another is certainly technology and automation. We're very focused on leveraging technology in all of our businesses. And one in particular that maybe I can take a couple of moments on is AI. I'm thrilled to be with a group of students. If you graduate, this shouldn't be the end of your life as a student. There should be another place somewhere along the road where you realize I've got to go back, pick up some other knowledge to advance my career that one step further. So about 4 years ago, I became interested in AI and machine learning. And so I decided to take a course, an online course MIT offered this course. It was 6 weeks. It was a 6 or 7 hour commitment a week, so not too bad. And wasn't terribly expensive. And it was geared at non-technical business leaders. Wasn't a program geared for the folks with a career in information technology. But basically the 6 weeks walked you through a process where you developed an AI strategy for your business unit or your division or whatever particular group you were going to be focused on. And a lot ended up coming out of that for me personally, but for the company, we've been able to do some great things. And so what we've been able to do is marry man and machine in a helpful way. And so what I mean by that is, if you think about data, we've got more data being proliferated every day than in the history of man preceding us. And there's a lot of value in all this data, but people have only so much capability of sifting through that in our brains and recognizing patterns and coming up with opportunities from that. Machines, on the other hand, are built to do nothing but sift through all that data. And so what we've discovered is when you marry the two together efficiently, great things can happen. So a simple example for us is in retaining truck drivers. So Penske employs today almost 11,000 truck drivers, and we don't want to lose one. So we've used machine learning to help us understand patterns in the data associated with drivers' work efforts and their pay to recognize moments when a driver might be most likely to consider leaving. Unto itself, that doesn't do you any good. That's the machine part. The man part is we have hundreds and hundreds of field-based supervisors that look these drivers in the eye every day, and we alert these supervisors in terms of, here are the few drivers in your group you ought to sit down and talk to and get a perspective from them on, has their workload been more than they're used to, and are they comfortable with? Has it been not enough? Is there anything you want to share and talk about? And this has been very helpful to us in retaining truck drivers. So it's a very simple example of how to use technology to drive a practical impact. And so we're really focused on this across the company. Penske's certainly not the only company, going down this path. So anything that you're picking up around analytics, data science, that's great stuff.
You know, when I was on the business side, certainly truck drivers, particularly CDL truck drivers, were very difficult to find. You hear a lot about driverless trucks and things like that. Where's Penske on that?
So we'll be in the corner of our customers. So there's all this emerging technology out there on the landscape in every industry. In the trucking industry, you've got electric powered vehicles, you've got hydrogen powered vehicles that are in various stages of coming along. And then you've got autonomous vehicles, so vehicles that can be operated without a driver or where the technology provides more assistance to the driver. And so with any emerging technology, you have headwinds and tailwinds. So the tailwinds are things that would most logically push that technology forward. So when you think about autonomous vehicles and a shortage of truck drivers, you would think, okay, well, there's definitely a tailwind. There's great reason for businesses to want to perhaps leverage that type of technology. In the form of headwinds, you have now these big vehicles running around on our roads, and there's no driver in the vehicle, and you have homeland security concerns. What happens if this vehicle gets hacked into in some way? That becomes a concern. And you have ethical and moral issues. If a vehicle is traveling down the road and a 75-year-old person jumps in front of the vehicle here and a baby in a carriage jumps in front of the vehicle there, well, what do you do? Where do you stop? Where do you turn? Those are just some of the ethical, moral issues associated with this. So because of all this, right now, autonomous vehicles are moving along a little more slowly. What's hot right now with us is electric trucks. And so over time, more and more customers want to talk about electric vehicles. The charging infrastructure isn't quite yet there in this country to support all this. If you have a personal vehicle, not a big heavy duty truck, you can go charge it at Wawa. If you go around the back of most of the Wawas, you'll see a Tesla charging station back there. But trucking industry is not quite there yet, Don, in terms of that charging infrastructure. But it is developing. It is coming along a little bit more rapidly than the autonomous vehicle.
So if you look at back to the cultural comment or discussion, where's innovation fit in your culture? And how do you look at innovation? And are there areas in the organization that actually are focused on innovation and thinking 5 and 10 years ahead?
Yeah, innovation's everywhere in the business. You're going to graduate, you're going to go into the workforce, you're going to have the opportunity to innovate from day one. Innovation's not something that's just the domain of a vice president or some senior level person in an organization. Innovation's really everyone's job. You're going to see things, you're going to see processes, you're going to see business policies and approaches, and you're going to have ideas around how some of these could be improved. I think when you talk about the topic of innovation, there's this, I call it the Thomas Edison kind of light bulb type innovation, which is this dramatic innovation. And some would say electric powered vehicles now are sort of one of these major shifts in the landscape. But there are also innumerable small innovations in processes and business approaches that departments, teams can find and improve their work approach, how they serve customers. And so we try and foster this mentality that, hey, this is everyone's job. And I think you'll find when you get into an organization post-graduation, that'll be an expectation.